I feel like we're gonna terrify anybody who wants to like study abroad. Like, don't be. I somehow
Well, they
got the
should
worst
know.
luck at like every corner.
Yes.
Um,
I'll just put it out there now in case they lose interest at some point. But overall, I rate the experience like 4.5 out of 5 stars,
oh, I
maybe
would do it
five
again.
stars depending on the day. Yeah, I would go again, and I've thought about going and doing it all again.
My name is Peyton, and I am here with my good friend, classmate, and roommate at Fudan University, the man of many names, Aaron.
Hello there, Peyton.
What's that? Did you
Thank you
did
for
you?
having me. You can call me Aaron or Danny, Sudani, whatever you want. Daniel,
Hmm.
whatever's best.
So, I guess let's get started with. Obviously, we were classmates at St. Mary's in Chinese. What was it? Was it 201 that we had our first class together?
It would have been, yeah, 201 when you were a freshman. I was a sophomore.
Yeah, yeah. Then we had a few more semesters when we decided that we were going to go to Fudan. That was spring semester of, oh God, what year was that? 2017? 17?
2017.
Oh my
Yeah, we went
God.
in 2018. I
Right, because it
Good
was my
God.
it was my sophomore year. I guess we
Right.
can talk a little bit about our decision. I mean, obviously we didn't have a whole lot of choices to pick from. Fudan is partnered with St. Mary's, which gave us an excellent path to one of the top schools in China.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, looking back, I mean, since we had that opportunity and I learned about what Fudan was,
Right?
I'm so grateful for that. I mean, I felt like I had achieved something going there when really I hadn't achieved much at all.
No,
It was just a free opportunity for us.
one of the best experiences about going to Fudan was being in China and being like, "Hey, I'm studying at Fudan," and they'd be like, "Really?" I'm like, "No,
Wow.
I didn't do anything for
Very
this."
smart. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you. I always took those compliments and ran with them and said, "Yep, Fudan University." Yeah, exactly.
It really depended for me. Um, and so let's see. I know when I was like applying to schools, my plan for college was to study abroad. I wanted to go to China for a semester. Um, was that like your kind of thing too?
No, actually, most of my college decision experience, as well as most of the decisions I made in college, were not very premeditated, and that includes going abroad. I learned about it. Oh, I'd heard that going abroad was a thing that many students did at St. Mary's and at schools all over the country, and it sounded great. I always liked to travel, but I never learned anything specific about China, like Shanghai
Hmm.
abroad experience or Fudan specifically until my sophomore year, I think, when we heard about some students who had come back
Right.
who told me a lot of amazing sounding things about it, and their language level improved so much, and I was totally intrigued in that. I knew I'd wanted to go abroad, but I had never given it a thought of specifically where until I learned that that was what people in the major did and like heard the good experiences. But that's cool. I didn't know you had always planned to go to China.
Oh yeah, that was like my. I didn't have any other plans. I was like, I want to go. I wish I'd had other plans for college. I had a great
Yeah.
time, but
Yeah, right.
um, had you been to China before?
Yes, once before. I went in, I believe it was 2013 as a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
It might have been 2012, either 2012 or 2013. And I went on a kind of a more standard, like 2 week trip, a tour. We toured around Beijing, a little bit of Shanghai. We also went to Hong Kong at the end,
Okay.
Guilin in the south. Um, yeah, so it was obviously um, a much different experience. I wasn't fully engaged with the culture in the cities the way I was
Yeah.
after being there for 4.5 months, of course. Um, but yeah, just the once, and I remember feeling similarly afterwards about how much fun I had and how exciting it was to be there and to just see all the locals and all the different ways that people live their life there compared to what I've seen in America. So I remember feeling similar after that. And I was like really excited to be able to go back, definitely.
Yeah, because I was very similar. I went in my junior year of high school. I did the same thing. A few days in Beijing, a couple days in Xi'an, and a few days in Shanghai.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it was really neat to go back and be like, and not be rushed all the time.
Yeah, it was the first time also for me where I was living in a city,
Same.
and not just any city, but a city of 24 plus million residents.
Yeah,
Um, so it definitely was a different pace
we should
than the
actually
trip.
we should talk about culture shock a little bit in terms of
Sure.
like dealing with that, and because I think that's something that specifically for you and I, not having ever lived in a city, it's hard to separate the culture shock of being in China from the culture shock of being just in a city for the first time, because that was just wild.
Yeah, absolutely. And you come from a more isolated area than I grew up in. Even I mean, I came from basically an urban area in Bethesda, Maryland, very close to DC. But yeah, exactly. I mean, not only is it an extremely enormous city, but it's in China on
It's
the
in
other
China,
side
yeah.
of the planet. It's about as foreign as you could imagine. Um, Except, I mean, even the Walmart doesn't look like Walmart. You go into Walmart, and that's a culture shock. It's
But
everything
like
is different.
at the same time, they had a Walmart, and it's
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and we
So
should
there's
talk about.
similarities, but everything's just kind of like anti what you're used to.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
having said that, like even still, Shanghai is one of the most that's probably the most Western experience you're gonna get in China,
Totally.
and it's
Totally.
still like, and there were things that felt so familiar, you know,
Right.
um, a certain the fast food places, just people. Obviously, the people are different, but you know, at their very basic level, people are the same everywhere.
It was, yeah, totally. And that was something that that idea, like, or like that notion, like I warmed up to that and like noticed that later on, like you're no longer in like a completely foreign city. You're not thinking like, oh, I'm in China, everything's different and Chinese and wow, scary. You start to just feel like you're in a big city
Yeah.
with people doing the same things they do in the cities in the US. And so that's true. It definitely transitioned, but yeah, the initial shock was it was pretty jarring. A
Hmm.
story I always tell people about when I first got there was probably one of my most sad stories, but it was the first day that I got to Fudan and I didn't have any service, so like I had to use the iPhone Compass app to find the building. I remember them saying it was at like the most northeastern point of the campus, and so I used that to wander to this building, and I had no idea who I was supposed to talk to or how I was supposed to get to my room. And when I finally did all that, I am in my room. It's completely empty, like no blankets, pillows, anything on my bed. And I just remember sitting there with the lights off, like curled up in my bed, like terrified of what to do next. And that I'm not sure I'll ever feel something like that again. It was such a moving experience, that initial shock and fright. I don't know if you felt anything
Oh,
similar. Yeah.
Alana and I had the exact same experience because we
Hmm.
pulled up at like 2 a.m. in the pouring rain. We had to show our like letter of invitation to get in the gate, and the guy was like trying to point us towards where the dorms were. Then we get into the, and at this point, I didn't have any cash because we got, I was gonna get cash in the airport, and we missed a flight, um, so I didn't have time. So we pull up in Shanghai, and my credit cards aren't working in the ATMs. So we get there, and I have to pay the deposit to get my room key. And Alana had to lend me, I think like 40 US dollars because she didn't have any more yuan. Um, and luckily, we had the only person in that, in that like section that spoke English. Um,
Wow.
I don't think I saw him maybe like once for the next 4.5 months.
Of course.
We just got super lucky. But
that
my,
that all of the like the early stages of adjusting to life at Fudan and at in Shanghai were so daunting. And
oh
you
yeah.
were never certain. I never felt 100% certain about what I was doing, like going to set up a bank account to get our stipend,
Oh my
or
God, the bank
that
accounts.
that was the most roundabout like long process I've ever been a part of, and all in Chinese. Like, I mean, the people barely speak English at the banks too. It was so difficult to communicate. trying to find the school buildings. I mean, the campus is so large. You're just not sure if you're ever going the right way at first. And oh man, trying to get a router for internet every step of the way. Like,
I
where
forgot
is their
about that.
bank? Like,
My freaking
how?
like Isengard router, it looked like.
Yeah, looked like a drone. Yeah, um, yeah. Every step of the way was some long process that you had to ask about like 10 people if you like what to do and how to do it properly. Um, and that was definitely daunting. I think if I had known or had any like conception of what that was going to be like, I would have been a lot more nervous or anxious about it. But it all just came at you as it did, and you just had to deal with it. But like looking back, that it was extremely stressful at the beginning.
It worked out though, and I made some
Yeah,
great
it did.
friends during
There's
that
good
too.
things about it.
I remember on my second day, I still didn't have any money, and I was standing in the lobby there, and I was just so thirsty. And one of the people working there, didn't speak a word of English. She went and got me a bottle of water, and I was just like, I was ready to cry. Like,
Yeah, right. That
and
little act
then,
of kindness.
yes, and then two people that I spent a lot of time with over the next couple months we went walking, and they bought me a meal. They went and got me. We went to that place that was like a buffet style. There'd be cafes in Shanghai where you'd go along and just grab little plates of food, cafeteria style.
Yeah,
And I swear to God, we got one of everything. Um,
yeah. How was the food? I never actually ate at a place like that, except in the cafeteria.
I was so hungry, I don't think I tasted it.
Yeah.
Um, I can't say I
I,
went back, but I don't think it's because it was bad. I just think there were so many places to try, and my stomach and authentic Chinese food didn't always mix well.
that I certainly remember that aspect. It was challenging to even just find sustenance. Even I
At
remember
first,
even in yeah at first yeah right once you get your bearings it's easy and you're full.
once you figure
Um,
out Olama,
yeah, exactly, which you used way more than I did.
I used it a
Um,
lot. Meal delivery, by
but
the way.
yeah, meal delivery, just like any meal delivery service
Any,
in the United States, except everyone's on a bike. They do it, or a moped.
we were in a kind of an apartment kind of thing with four single rooms and two little bathrooms that were kind of combined into. They were weird. Um,
There were
and
two,
yeah, it was weird.
right, but only
It's that like
separated by like a
semi-transparent,
like a translucent like piece of glass in the middle of
vaguely
it.
opaque piece of glass that was probably
Right.
only opaque because the lights in the bathrooms did not really work.
And it was probably filthy.
And a
I forgot there were
little.
two.
Oh my God, I forgot how filthy that. Were you even? That was before you got there, I think. How disgusting the common area of the apartment was when I first got there.
Yeah, I remember you asked for a transfer.
I was going to was that I was legitimately ready to like, oh, I'm gonna go find an apartment off campus. I will find the money for it because it was.
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna terrify anybody who wants to like study abroad. Like, don't be. I somehow
Well, they
got the
should
worst
know.
luck at like every corner.
Yes.
Um,
I'll just put it out there now in case they lose interest at some point. But overall, I rate the experience like 4.5 out of 5 stars,
oh, I
maybe
would do it
five
again.
stars depending on the day. Yeah, I would go again, and I've thought about going and doing it all again.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about the initial scary aspects, but it gets way better.
Somehow it all got cleaned up like the next day. I guess they probably, our housemates. What what were our housemates' names?
Twin Kong and dang, I
Uh,
forget my like the guy I shared a wall with.
I only okay. So this is the thing. He's the guy that let me
No,
into
he
the
had
room.
such a distinct name. I can't
I
forget.
remember it. I remember it.
Okay, I forget.
At least I remember what I think his name is. Um, he let me in at that, two and a two. I almost said 2.5, 2:30, 3 a.m. Because my card wasn't working for some reason, and he
Corey.
said, "Hi, my name's Anubis. I think. I don't know. I talked to him one other
Anubis.
time the entire semester.